Namaste, beloveds. This is Mother with Wisdom, Valerie AMES, and today I have several things that I've kind of been writing for, I'd say, the past week, the beginning of September, and it's very, I'd say, potent. Potent would be the best word for it because it's it's different, but it's also quite familiar. So I'm just going to get into it because there's a lot of it. So here we go. This one started last week Saturday. Um, Establishing your will, overcoming the body mind. Yesterday I had a very early appointment. Lately, my sleeping pattern is late in the day and sleeping late in the day and staying up till 4 or 5 in the morning. So my body wanted to take a nap whenever I got home, but I saw this as the perfect opportunity to retrain my body back into a more reasonable schedule that would not involve so many dark circles and feeling tired and drained like a hangover because you've been out partying till the break of dawn and now you have to get up and go to work or school or whatever you do during the day. So last night I went to bed earlier than at least the last past 2 months. And so this morning when it was time to get up, that hungover feeling was there to greet me, accompanied by thoughts of catch up on your sleep. So I woke up and went back to sleep a couple of times. Then I noticed the body mind still wanted to just lay and sleep. But now there was resistance. And this resistance, after observing and checking in, was coming from the will of existence, as the question was put to me, which do you prefer? To lay down and sleep and dream because you are under the illusion of the body mind and you have been lulled into the conscious state of tiredness? Look carefully at this state. Observe its vastness and its limitations. What is familiar about it? Is it a new feeling or an old one? What is this thing, this feeling, thought, need kin to? And it hit me like a wrecking ball. I have taught myself to observe myself, my thoughts and feelings by being mindful and present, and I am no longer triggered as much or so quick to react from a place of impulse. Instead of integrity of the self-inquiry knowledge of who, what, when, where, how, and why I truly am. And let me just stop for a minute just to make this a little bit clearer. Um, the seasons are changing. Again, when you are hypersensitive, you are aware at things on many different levels. And sometimes it's just not a mental level. What this is about is a body mind um, observation and level and programming. We have many different ways that we program or condition ourselves or receive conditioning, more than just our thoughts, more than just, I want you to think of the foods we eat, the things that we smell, the things that we touch, um, the noise that we hear in the background but really don't tune into. All of these things we're relaying and receiving messages and impulses and frequencies and input from at all times. And you can, I've been focusing more on my inner, and in focusing more on my inner, I've noticed that now there's a tiredness to my body. And it's not because I'm being a busy bee doing all this stuff. No, it's because my mind is aligned and tuned in with everywhere that I'm getting information and how I'm using that information, and never having looked at it that way before is whew, it wears you out. And so again, with the seasons changing, the days being longer, yeah, it gets darker earlier. Things are I'm very in tune to this right now. And today is Friday the 13th, and it's a full moon, and it's so many different things going on astronomically and cosmically and inwardly and outwardly, and trying to be in a place and be in a space to observe all of it in a way that I've never truly looked at it before. It's mind blowing in a way. And I'm noticing my body, has a so to speak, mind of its own. And I'm going to get into it later because I wrote about the will, but it has a will of its own, and I'm discovering these different wills, these different frequencies, the different ways that the spirit works with the mind body, the physical, that it manifests in. Okay, let me keep going. So the Art of War quote came into my being: know yourself and know your enemy. And at this moment, I realized I was in battle with my body's mind, ego, manifesting itself in the big body, in the bio body, as symptoms and fatigue and dis-ease. So I began to uproot this manifestation to where it was most recognizable or slash revealed slash vulnerable, when it was in the seat of power and I was not able to exert my own conscious will because I was tired, depressed, repressed, controlled, and overwhelmed by my feelings, thoughts, and they had manifested into 600 pounds, and being too painful to move and to even breathe required me to be on oxygen 24/7. And the only thing that kept me here, somewhat conscious of my truth, was my resiliency, my vastness, my existence was grace, is the form of my spiritual will. That force that kept me rooted, corded to existence itself, no matter what was taking place around me and inside of me, or immediately outside of me. The outer body experience has always been present for me. I have called it seeing with sight beyond sight, which is an instinctive part of my existence to survive. It is ancient communication with self. It is an altered state of consciousness where both worlds exist as one. And I'm going to stop just for a minute just to break that down a little bit. What I'm speaking of, many refer to as an outer body experience. And they experience when they are near death, or they're going into a deeper dream state than normal, or they've entered into a state of consciousness that is deeper than just the regular daydreaming or so forth and so on. And once you have experienced this outer body experience or this near-death experience, you are tuned into yourself from a deeper place, from a deeper state of consciousness. You're able to, because you were able to observe yourself kind of looking down at yourself, prone and not that prone body, that prone physical body, doing or being or whatever it's doing, or in stillness or however, but you know that you are the essence of that body, but you're not contained in it at this particular moment. And you're very aware of everything that's going on and everything. It is a deeper, deeper knowing. And so, like I said, most of us, we, or many of us, have experienced this when under times of great stress. But once you have experienced it, there are times when you allow yourself to go back into that consciousness to observe and to experience things. And it is different. It's a spiritual, higher frequency than the mind-body frequency. It has a different will, so to speak. It has a deeper will and connection to existence than the physical bio body does. And this is what I'm speaking of, beloveds. And I hope it's coming out coherently. Let me get back to it. And this is what if you've been following me or Mother Wit for a while, you will have heard me use the term sight beyond sight. Well, that sight beyond sight is just now, I'm observing it from, I've been using the sight from that place. This is the sight that gives me sight beyond sight. This is, that other place, that other realm, that other dimension, that other existence that is without form, but can see form, your form, its form. And it can also, when it directs its will that way, connect with everything around it in order to help that bio body. And we need to learn and tune in more to that. Okay, let me keep going. The spiritual and physical, and it was unseated, and it has unseated the ego plan of control, and your highest self, your will, sits on that throne and wears the crown chakra. And this was speaking of when you're able to do that, you're wearing your crown chakra. And this crown chakra allows you this vision over your lesser frequency chakras, the root. That is your root laying down on that table or that bed or wherever, going through whatever it's going through. And you, from your crown perspective, are looking down at it. And you're still connected, but you're not. Okay, and the way this came to me to write it was as seeing that it is your understanding the root chakra and the crown chakra, and that both of them sit on this throne when they're aligned and the spine is, aligned. But when you are unbalanced and you're more in the realm of that lower chakra, then that is your ego that's sitting on that throne. And that is your ego's will that is manifesting and conducting whatever is going on. Whatever Afro circus polka dot, that's from your ego sitting on that throne. That's its will. But when you remove that, or when you align yourself truly, that means you have risen all the way up to your crown chakra, and you are wearing your crown, and you are sitting on your throne. And it is from your crown that your will is being carried out. And that crown is from a spiritual point of view. It's a higher level than your root chakra. Although it pulls all, it uses all. It's aware of all. And you must understand that it is the heart that connects both the higher and the lower. So let me keep going. And you use your will to decide your course forward. Existence to fight to remain in developing this conscious reality, this version of yourself to keep it alive, or to let it go into non-existence, sleep, dormant state of consciousness, waiting to be reborn again. And beloveds, this is that that outer body experience once again, when you see the light and you get to choose whether you want to go into the light. And in this world, you go to sleep, you go into non-existence. But on the other side of that light, you're waiting to be reborn again. So this is what this is speaking of. Okay, I hope it's clear. Let's keep going. To master the agreed upon lessons in another multiverse, body, consciousness, personal identity, awareness, with different circumstances that you will and can overcome, so that you complete your soul contract and you maintain control of your will, existence, and expansion. And so, to break it down, beloveds, is the reincarnation process and so forth and so on, the rebirths, and the continuation of cycles and seasons. Each soul is here with a purpose. And that purpose is to know itself. And in knowing itself, sometimes you get into circumstances that you have manifested through that root chakra will that requires your crown chakra to say, are you going to continue in this phase or this, whatever this is, or do you want to check out now and come back and go through it a different way? And that is your free will to decide. That is what unconditional love gives you. That is the grace of existence. That is a part of knowing yourself and being present in yourself, in your will, in your choices, not only from a spiritual perspective, but also from a mind-body perspective. Okay. And that versus contracting with darker energies, lesser energies of existence, to keep your conscious will alive by the will of the first ego, that narcissistic one that needed to compare and compete with the original, that one that conceived duality, the consciousness state of non-existence we call death. Think back to the movie Ghost with Patrick Swayze, Demi Moore, and Whoopi Goldberg. Think back upon the trinity of birth, death, rebirth, mother, father, and child. Observe and view them metaphorically, metaphysically, spiritually, and physically. Understand the many multiverses and manifestations of them as existential, which is so vast it holds a space for non-existence, which is death, which means that existence itself is so vast and is so orchestrated with unconditional love that it allows your will, which is an expression of its will, to choose whether you're going to dip into the lower energies to learn your lessons or to manifest what you need to manifest in order to learn your lessons. Or are you going to rely upon the higher energies and frequencies to heal, to manifest what you need? And knowing that when you use the lower frequencies, that it's going to cost you some of your essence, it's going to cost you something, but it's your choice. And that exists for that reason. Which we will call the potential of will. Sacred materia slash matter slash stored grace, unactivated grace. It is a non-conscious state, meaning it is collective consciousness, not given the will ability to exist individually in a bio body experience, but is still a constant state of existence. And beloveds, when in breaking that down for myself, that was letting me know that there is an unseen part of existence that we draw from, that we, even as we call ourselves awakened individuals, we still draw from this collective of energy, of knowledge, of wisdom, of will, this collective will. And it leads and guides and directs us. And we call it instincts, intuition, gut feelings, that small voice, all of these things. This is what we are. We tap into this unseen because we are part of it. We are from it. We are the children of it, individually in a bio body. And this bio body has its own will, separate from your thoughts and thinking. That's where your genetic dispositions and everything come into play. Okay. Now that we are back to ground zero of this observation, it calls for me to assert my conscious will to get up and exist as existence, consciously woke, rather than non-existent sleep and dreaming as a choice of my individual collective will. My participation in living / existing is my choice. This is the most comprehensive way to understand the concept of God. Your will is your expression of the God force. Only you can design / characterize / customize / create / give birth to that will. That will evolves as you do. It changes, matures, gets stronger, gets weaker, based upon your conscious and unconscious and subconscious relationships with your life experiences, which you manifest with karma, known as universal laws, into a virtual reality / matrix system ground zero womb of your will's existence / non-existence / existence, the grace of the Trinity. The will is the child of existence and non-existence. And that's deep. And that has to be broken down in many different ways. That is a very condensed version of what will is, and understanding now that we are not the ego, and that the ego basically has its own will. And that will is the will of non existence, which is inside existence. And the non existent will is possibilities. It's different states that are dormant that you, in your will, motivate and activate and manifest into being. Again, that is the seen and the unseen. And what this communication, transmission, revelation, whatever you want to call this, it is saying that non existence and existence get together and they reproduce. And what they reproduce is will. And it is that will that creates the dynamics that are necessary for a deeper experience of existing. And this is why we have a concept of time and of rhythm and of measurements, period, up and down, outer and inner, body experiences, so to speak. It is the will. The outer body experience is existence itself. That's its will. The body that's lying there on the table or sleeping or whatever it's doing, it's non-existent will, because it's non-existence. It's in a sleep or dormant or unconscious or subconscious state. But it also still has a will. And that is where we're going to understanding this trinity of wills. Okay. And the next one I titled The Will and Grace to Exist Beyond Limitations. The will and grace to exist beyond limitations. So if limitations is non-existence, and because those limitations just haven't reached their potential, they have to be sparked to reach their potential. Okay, it's just like a woman has a womb and she has ovaries. Those ovaries and those eggs that she's carrying, and just like the man is carrying the sperm, he's existing, but he's also carrying around non-existence with him. That woman is carrying non-existence with her. Each month she has a period and she gets rid of non-existence because one of those eggs was not inseminated, and so its potential did not happen, and so she sheds that. Let me keep going. I was going to do this as a GoFundMe. I was going to write this as a what's it called, an ebook, and that's part of why it's taken me a while, and all of this is accumulated, because I was going to do it as an ebook. But upon rising today, the energies, just give it the way you've been giving it, and things will work out the way you need them to work out, so that you can, do the things that you want to do with your grands and so forth and so on. And so I'm just going to put this out there. I really would like to start a nonprofit, um, and also be able to set aside something for my set aside something for charity for the arts that focus on women and children, and especially teenage moms. Um, and I had kind of set it up how I was going to do this. But like I said, today it's beyond doing it as a GoFundMe. What I was going to do is um, charge $7. $2 would go to me to start the nonprofit. $2 would go to my grants. $2 would go to charity for the arts, focus on women and children, and $1 would go to pay the GoFundMe. And so it was going to be the will and grace to exist beyond limitations. GoFundMe $7. And I'm just putting this out there because I know it'll manifest in ways that it needs to. So these are seeds. So let me keep going. How it was going to be 3 sessions of inclusions in mailings, scheduled webinars on the topic with questions, personal up to an hour conversations with me as I tune into you and communicate with you from a divine vastness of will and grace within me as an individual expression of the collective. Meaning, beloveds, I was basically going to be intuitively reading you from the perspective of your will and your grace, picking up on those things within you to help you magnify them, help you identify with them more, and to help you use them to manifest the things you want. And so I'm giving this, and I'm still going to be using this myself um, as a springboard. And let me just keep going forward. Um, and these notes, like right now, they're a little sketchy because they were just written from a place that was not concerned about proper spelling, proper wording, proper whatever. So it may come out a little blah, 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 but it is what it is. Okay. The Holy Trinity of I Am. 1. Sometimes, and I have reverse. Sometimes I will exist in a lesser, lower frequency, down outside. Our notes, reverse, down outside. Sometimes I will exist in a lesser, lower frequency, in a reverse frequency, in a down frequency, in an outside frequency. 2. Sometimes I will exist in a calm, balanced frequency. And this is neutral. Okay. Neutral, 0, equals the same, all at the same time. And the third is sometimes I exist in hyperdrive beyond the speed of light frequency. And beloveds, this was all shown to me as gears. Just like you drive a car, the first in reverse, going in reverse, that's operating out of a lower frequency or existing in that lesser frequency. That's that don't want to get up out of bed, don't want to move, depressed, you know, you're going backwards into the past, you're trying to navigate your way but looking backwards. You're pushing everything backwards. Everything is in reverse. Okay? And that second gear is neutral. And that one is where everything is calm, everything is the same. You can look at the past, you can look at the future, you can look at everything from this particular neutral 0 place of existence, and all is calm. balanced. Okay, and then you get to drive, which is the third one, which is driving forward, going up, inside. You exist in hyperdrive beyond the speed of light frequency, meaning you're looking into the future and you're worried about this and you're worried about that and how you're going to connect this with that and the past with the future and because this happened and that happened, you're no longer in that neutral place where you're calm. You have you are driving now and you dragging the past with you, and you're so busy looking back and forward, back and forward, back and forward, that you're not being still. You're not being neutral. And so this is what has you in an anxiety energy. And you have to use your will to say, okay, you know, I'm going to put myself in neutral. That means I'm going to just observe. I'm not going to be pulled to the back. I'm not going to be pulled to the front, left, right, in, out, up, down. None of it. Okay. All is the inertia of my creative sources of infinite divine potential in its holy state of existence and non-existence simultaneously, not a paradox, but ability. And beloveds, that's very deep when you realize that we think that having these three states is paradoxical in that sometimes we're all in them all at the same time, different parts of us, and we're just going, 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 and some of us are being able to be still and watch parts of ourselves going, 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 and then there are other parts that are just like whatever and are not even present, are numb, are oblivious to it all. Okay? And we look at this as paradox, or this is human fragility or something. But you need to know that these are your abilities. These are your superpowers. Is how you express your will. And that you are in control of your will. The past is not in control of you. The future is not in control of you. You are that crowned one, and it's your will, where you focus, how you focus, what you bring to you, what you let go of, what still affects you, and what no longer affects you. Okay, this is an ability. This is a superpower, and we're not taught things of this nature. When we go to school and we learn about words, and I'm going to get into this a little bit later, we learn the past tense of words, we learn the present tense of words, and we learn the future tense of words. So we learn these different shifts. We learn them with words. But what we do not understand is that we need to understand that we are the same way. When we know ourselves, when we observe ourselves from past, present, and future. And when you're not consciously aware that that is what you're doing, you can be trapped in the past, which means you're going backwards, you're in reverse, which means you're depressing, you're depressed, you're repressed, you're going under, you're sleeping, you're dreaming. Or you're so forward into the future that you have anxiety and you can't barely catch your breath and you're having panic attacks because this, and that, and that, and that, and this can happen. You're going at warp drive. And you need to calm yourself down and still yourself. Breathe. I've put myself in this warp drive, okay? Pull myself back into, neutral, zero, ground zero. Okay, I'm fading back into the past, bring myself back to neutral, ground zero. These are our abilities. These are our superpowers. These are our abilities to manipulate time in a way that it makes sense for us in the present moment, that it materializes grace. It taps into grace in the present moment. It gives us the peace we need in the present moment because we're wearing the crown, but we're looking down on that part of us that is unconscious because it's so going so fast into the future, or is so way back there in the past. Okay, let me keep going. We seek the formless one, yet we do not take time to examine our own thoughts. The formless one takes, for in our thoughts it is for us to observe its presence hidden inside the frequency of our thoughts. This is how we became more intimate with the presence of grace. In the beginning was the Word. The Word expands with more words and becomes a thought expressed. The same way we learn to write and identify a sentence by noun, adjective, verb, past, present tense. We find it, we see it, we observe it in the sentence. The sentences make up the paragraph, and so on and so on. And so this is what I was speaking of, beloveds, when I was saying when we go to school and we learn to write, we've learned to speak from home. And so we go to school to learn how to be conditioned, how to do it the right way. And we learn vocabulary. We learn what nouns is a person, place, or thing. We learn that adjectives are words that describe the person, place, or thing. We learn to put ed on it means that's already happened. We learn to work with conjunction words. We learn to work with all these other different ways of the words. But yet we identify these words outside of ourselves. And we don't identify them and this process with the way that we exist. And we need to look deeper into that because that is part of the wisdom of those words. In the beginning was the Word. It is not about a language, beloveds. It's more to do with understanding the flow, the way words work, the way words work as a collective in a story, the way words work in a paragraph, in a sentence, and the way words work individually, and the way we pair them together. And once we pair them together, what thought do they produce? What desire do they produce? This is what is meant by in the beginning was the Word. And the words that you use form your conscious will, forms what you manifest, forms what gear you're more inclined to be using. Okay. This is the same way we identify the persona of existence slash vastness slash God in every thought by identifying the context of the words without manifesting the word or thoughts. This allows greater harmony with the frequency. And beloveds, that within itself is very, very deep, because I want you to, we each have our own way of processing, associating, and using the term God. Whether you believe in that as a spirit, as an energy, as a frequency, as a being, however you see that, diversity allows you to grasp what you need to grasp. That is why there are so many words. That is why so many words describe so many concepts. And we need to see ourselves also as different words of action. Noun, person, place, thing. We really need to look at this a lot more, so that we, when we communicate with each other, we know where we're going. We know what we're trying to, trying to trigger, trying to get that person to see. We're communicating. Signs, symbols, thoughts, feelings, what gear we're in, what mode we're in, all of that is being communicated. Empaths and sensitives feel that even when a person is not speaking. They tune in. When you think about telepathy, mind reading, all of these different things that are heightened sensual awarenesses of existence itself, that means you are flowing from, what is it called? That existence and non-existence has had a baby in you, and this is that baby being able to communicate and grasp beyond what you normally would be able to do. And just because you can sit there and sense another person's feeling, that person may not even be in tune with themselves enough to even tell you what they're feeling or communicate what they're thinking, or why all of a sudden a part of their body hurts or aches. It's because, like I said, the body mind also has a will, and it also has memories. Just like a couple of days ago, my daughter was born on September 11th. And that whole day, I was so tired. I was just worn out. And I'm like, why am I so sleepy? Why am I? And I remembered my labor and delivery with her. And that whole day, I was just out. And so, like I've talked with women who have been in domestic abuse situations. I've talked with people who have broken bones, and on the day that they broke that bone, they something happens to bring them right back to that. This is existence and non-existence working simultaneously together. and you are aware of it, even though you're like, what is that? And the more we're able to observe, and the more we're able to tune in and align ourselves, the higher the frequencies are able to go and manifest, and the easier communication becomes. And not just communication with others, but communication with ourselves. Communications where we can heal certain things, where you begin to say, okay, this happened around that time, and I understand why I'm feeling this way. I'm in reverse right now, you know. So you bring yourself back to neutral, bring yourself back out of that state. That is grace, to be able to recognize that you have will, that you have a choice, that you can stay in that place, or you can choose to move forward to a neutral place, or you can choose to look so far ahead and be, so all of this, beloved, is part of ascending. It's part of the evolution. It's part of reclaiming existence from non-existence, because we have focused way too much on non-existence. And it's really time to focus on existence and the vastness of existence. And that the vastness of existence is immortality itself. It is never ending. And you have to find your place in that once again. Okay, let me keep going. Okay. And this is another part. I believe, okay, this this is called the best part. And it is just some prose or poetry or whatever you want to say. It's not like the rest, and it's very short, but it's still in that energy. So here it is. The best part. The art of my heart, you do jumpstart. Get me racing like Mario Karts, stuck in the summer haze of sunsets that weep between the sheets, gasping between phases of a fertile moon, often gone too soon. Each line we reunite as bride and groom in mid-June, harmonizing tune in full bloom. I love the way you touch me and make my feelings passionately. Pleasure responses melt and swoon. I never get tired of the same old repetitive of that same old repetitive tune. Bank my fires, baby. Let's spoon. And that's that piece. And again, beloveds, like I said, this is me feeling the seasons changing, and just being very in tune to, like I said, the body changes, and just everything, just everything. Okay, and that was that. All right, let's move forward. The mutability of water is also found in the composition of air. This is the connecting of the dots between the elements. And beloveds, this part, how do I say it gets kind of technical, and it came from a much deeper, I want to use the word old. I'm looking for words to express it in the word older. Older keeps popping up. So I'll say this came from an older place, elder place. Okay. And the mutability of water is also found in the composition of air. This is the connecting the dots between the elements. Just as water is imprinted with feelings, thoughts, and words to crystallize into a unique pattern, we must realize the building materia, the sacred alchemy, the sacred geometry of H2O. Focus on it this way. This is the natural composition of water. And this came from I can't say his name, the Japanese um, doctor that showed that words affect the crystallization of water and ice and different things. Immortal, I can't. It's there, but I can't say it right. I can't bring it forward. But most of you know who I'm talking about. But okay, keep that in mind when as you listen to this portion. Being the fifth element, orange in the chakra system, fall in the season, right before green, the heart. Our physical bio body is largely a large percent water. Oxygen is also made up of water. The liquefaction stage of a crystallization of a caterpillar was shown to me as the liquefaction of cells/blood that allows life to morph, to change, to feel at a deep level, that hormones flooding the teen body as it no longer is a child is because of the presence of chemical compositions now activated within that causes a deeper receptivity of your senses based upon your conditioning and environment, what has been allowed to crystallize within you. And basically, beloveds, this is just saying that just like all of this started with the season of fall um, coming into play and me being in tune with it, it is just like this is likened to a teenager when it has reached a certain point, and that teenage stage is different for each child. Some, it's like when a girl gets her period, they get them at different ages because hormonally their bodies develop at different ages and different stages and different ways. And that's why every period is not the same. Every girl does not experience the same period. Some are heavy, some are light, some are 5 days, some are 2, 3, some are more than that. This is hormonal. This is an alchemical um, institution, is the word that came. An alchemical institution that is taking place. And when you look at um, these different periods of time, these different seasons in the life of a person, their alchemy changes. It changes drastically. Just like when you go into, entering into the new phase of my life, the Crohn stage, where I don't have a womb, but there is no period anymore. There is no ability to have a child anymore. And your sensitivities and your senses and your body mind are now different. Just like when you're in that teenage state and your hormones are all over the place and you're more sexually curious and you're more shy and you're more prone to um, be resistant to change and all kinds of things. These are things that what I'm receiving from this older information is that this is what true alchemy is all about in the human body, and it has to do also with will and grace and the senses and all of this working together. Let me keep going. Condensation and humidity. Again, the outside effects of air and water manifesting in a heavy, dense, depressed, restrictive way. What happens physically, chemically, and emotionally when its humidity is high? The body swells, irritation is high, the temperature is hot and muggy, breathing is more difficult. Why, when, how, where, what are the connections? So, what is being shared is that the different states of water in the atmosphere affects our physical bodies. Our brains are made of water, our organs and tissues and everything else. And it also affects the hormones. It affects moods, attitudes. And all of these things need to be looked at as far as sensitivity, as far as knowing yourself, as far as how you communicate with others when these heavy states are going on. I know when a woman is having a heavy period, she is, whoop, leave her alone, leave her be. All of this is really geared toward us understanding our biochemistry more, understanding that the waters that are polluted outside of us are affecting the waters within us. What we consume is also, you know, causing these different states that they're more, what is it feeding into? Their electrolytes, their electrical things that happen. And I'm getting this thing about Monsanto. They know. They know. We have been so conditioned to allow others to lead, and we just follow, and we just open our mouths and swallow whatever it is they're giving us. One of the things that's really coming forward right now is agriculture. Water is used for agriculture. It's a necessity. And I want you to think of what is going on globally with the farmers right now. And I really want you to look at it from a state of existence and non-existence, of grace and will and freedom, and the words that are being circulated. Disease, cancer, depression, energy exchange / via breath work, understanding the cycles and the seasons is based upon the outside interacting with the changes registered inside. Air, water, amount of sunlight is fire, is what is affected. Also by daylight savings time, just as we have taken water for granted and failed at our connection, dominion, service to it and ourselves, we are doing with the air at cost to our own lungs and ability to breathe and feed and exchange energy with what keeps us alive, the trees, the flora and the fauna, earth. So, beloveds, this all started with water. air, fire, and now you have the earth with the trees and the flora and the fauna that we exchange oxygen from, and that we give carbon dioxide to. And you must remember again that the water is basis for this, and there's balance and harmony with them. Okay. Upon becoming industrialized, we began war against the elementals. And I want you, this was shown to me as when the First World War started. It started because of the industrialization. And that industrialization was the actual war against the elements, the natural elements, the way of nature. We began to take things out of balance. Thus, we put death before life. We empowered non-existence by reducing our connection to existence. Thus began our slow suicide, getting to 600 pounds and not moving, existing inside non-existence. And this getting to 600 pounds, this was me basically becoming susceptible to the industrialization. Me becoming so used to the type of foods that I was eating. The not moving, the not breathing more, the exchange, eating more, the drinking more of juices and sodas instead of water. Just everything, everything. And everything took its toll because it was me fighting against existence. It was non-existence, death, fighting against existence. Dis-ease against balance and harmony. Willfully choosing this state of existence, greedily satisfying and maintaining it above my children, above the God force within me, all to satisfy the need to punish myself by supporting a death / non-existent / muggy humid environment or atmosphere in which feeds the wolf of death, non-existence, inside myself. So, in willfully choosing this way to rebel against life, against existence, I jeopardized my breathing, my lungs, my vital organs, which depend upon that oxygen. It's because greedy. I was set needing to be greedy. And I want you to understand that I'm sharing this because I want you to correlate it to industry. That's the word that's been given to me to use, industry. And I was shown, like I said, this period of the world wars, when World War I began, that's when we willfully began to extort existence. That's when we willfully began to commit suicide of the planet. That's when we willfully started harming the air we breathe, the water we drink, the food we eat. And it has gotten to this point where we are now. And it's driving us crazy. We're dying. We're creating more diseases. And all the while, behind doors, we're creating false wombs. We're creating false this, false AI, false this, false that. We're inventing this or trying to improve upon nature in this way and in that way. So we're trying to give non-existence an edge over existence, all the while ignoring and not focusing on the existence that we have, the harmony of the existence that we have, repairing what we have, valuing what we have. We're hell-bent on outdoing existence with non-existence. We think that non-existence, it has the potential, this untapped potential that is better than existence. That's why the fruits of the Spirit is patience, long suffering. It's not instant gratification. Sanity, which is balance from a biochemical and unity with your environment, seen and unseen, has become insanity, a race by a need to succeed in killing ourselves and the planet, a race for non-existence. This is heaven and hell. Thus, if heaven and hell are metaphors for states of consciousness, can you observe or bear to witness to fall, to the fall, to the change of spirit into the lowest frequency of the root, driven not to thrive, which wears the crown, but battle survival, existence and the right, the need, the will to exist and truly thrive in that choice, which is a divine choice that is nourished and supported by grace. So, beloveds, let me break that down. I want you to look at heaven and hell as metaphors for a state of consciousness. Heaven and hell, paradise on earth, the underworld, however you need to look at happy and or sane or insane, calm or depressed. And can you, from those states, from heaven and hell, can you look at how we shift gears in the seasons that we choose to shift gears? What is going on cosmically? What is going on with the oceans? What is going on with the moon? Because what is going on with the earth? Because all of these things affect the human bio body and the mind and the soul and the spirit that dwell within. All of this is connected, but we act like it's not. When data tells us there are more domestic violence situations, there are more murders during certain lunar times, during certain holidays, that's because the body remembers. The brain is made of water. The tissues are made of water. Just like water can retain those crystallized images, we have trapped within us those same crystallized images in our brains and in our organs and in our tissue. And we need to know the connection and the correlation so that we can adjust our will, our words, our connections, our interactions, and observe them from a place of healthy harmony and balance instead of chaos or being out of control. I don't know why I did that. I don't know what made me do that. What words were you hearing? What words were forming your thoughts? What words were forming your feelings? What words were triggering you? Know thyself. Know thyself. Breathe. In the knowing, the knowledge of, and within yourself that must be reborn within you, reprogrammed, rebooted in your system of existence is in a state of heaven and paradise. The basic building blocks of existence and non-existence are found in knowing of direct connection with the elements, with this Hieros Gamos sacred union of the four elements. A fifth element is conceived, created, born into our conscious awareness. Balance occurs as we recognize ourselves as whole and holy, meaning the caterpillar has completed its liquefaction change, morphing, shape-shifting, going from one conscious being into another form or state with heightened sense of connection to all of existence. And when you see this from the eye of observation of the philosopher's stone, the existence you now begin to value and nourish, manifest your reality consciously, unconsciously, subconsciously, past, present, and future. Watch the movie The Fifth Element as archetypes, cells, tissues, and organs, a consciousness that serves non-existence, and a consciousness that gives birth to manifest its own son, savior, messenger to support and enforce existence. But all is based upon unconditional love, which has no beginning nor an ending, which shows its abundance of grace in the seeding and sharing of the fruits of the Spirit, in contrast to the works of the flesh, which relates only to dying / non-existence, stuck only in that black hole, unaware of the conscious state of rebirth, waking up from sleep against the cause of the story of Jesus and Lazarus. And beloveds, I really want you to focus on that. Jesus told Lazarus to wake up. Wake up. Wake up. Understand the consciousness that he was in. He didn't say, welcome back from wherever the hell you was. He said, wake up. Wake up. When you wake up, what do? You tune in to what is around you, to what is inside you, to your identity, to the truth. Wake up. Come back to existence from non-existence. Lazarus had gone into non-existence. Jesus brought him back to existence. State of consciousness. Depression is to become dormant inside of the vastness or existence forms of expressions. It is free will You always have a choice. From a planetary macrocosmic observation, existence on this planet has chosen and supported non-existence once again, which causes destabilization of the elements, meaning the elements begin to war against each other consciously, unconsciously, and subconsciously, inside the physical bio body and outside the earth body and cosmically the heavenly bodies. We have reached an end of a cycle, season, age, stage, which means we are going, morphing, evolving, growing into our next state of existence as this new conscious being with new awareness of consciousness, relatively connection and expression that must ascend, transcend, transmute the effects of our younger selves. And as we begin to become more aware of ourselves as existence itself, we will, with unconditional love, do everything we can to support a healthy, abundant existence for all. Beginning with the air we breathe and the water, which is another form of our existence in all that exists, but notably in, within, and of the sacredness of each other as one. So, beloveds, what this is saying is that we have to first and foremost tune into ourselves as existence, as life, and we have to choose life. We have to choose to keep existing in a healthy way. And we have to resist existing in an unhealthy way. Just like when I was 600 pounds, knew every day that what I was doing was wrong, but kept doing it. Slow suicide. Not caring about my kids, the world, nothing. Hurting and steady hurting myself more. And this is where we are as a collective right now, existing upon this earth. And if we are really and truly committed to existing, then we have to set about doing the things that support existence and does not support non-existence. Told to bring up cleanliness is next to godliness, based upon all the I that I have just shared. Do you understand that it means a clean heart, a place of pureness, for existence itself to dwell within your temple? It is a spiritual cleanliness. It has nothing to do with the seen. It has to do only with the unseen. Think about the outside, inside, often focused on some of the most beautifully built and kept grounds of churches and palaces, to the outside eye that has been trained to put a smile on it and suck it up and never let them see you sweat, where the most heinous of plans for destruction of life, genocide, wars, murder, and rape were conceived, with pride, arrogance, and hate against existence itself, in a diverse form other than the self-identified state of non-existence. And let me break that down, beloveds. That is simply was shown to me as we look at some of the most beautiful of architectures and just these centerpieces or cover of magazines or whatever we want to call them, these different institutions of royalty, institutions with their parliamentary procedures and their etiquettes and their this and their rules and their that. But, and from the outside looking in, they're beautiful. The grounds are well kept. The people are in suits and ties and beautiful clothes, and maids and butlers are walking around serving and doing more serving, and everything is, from the outside, looks beautiful, that it's orderly and well kept, and those are our leaders. But yet inside those board meetings, inside those rooms, are those same well-dressed people sitting in those beautiful surroundings, plotting murder, death, rape, killing the earth, mad because this didn't make enough money this quarter. And I don't care what we have to do or who we have to hurt. Next quarter, you better raise this. We better have this amount, X amount. But these are the places that we look at, and these are the things that we want to emulate. But these are the very ones who are killing us, because they are so focused on the outside, and we are so conditioned to look at the outside, and they use this scripture on us. Cleanliness is next to godliness. You can be the cleanest person in the world and be the nastiest individual in the world. You know how 45 always likes to use that word nasty? Nasty woman. That's because he's a nasty man. All his buildings, oh, they so pretty. They're so well kept. All the servants, everything you could ever want, everything in the right place. White glove test, pass. But that man, is he clean? Is that the kind of clean you want to be? Is that the kind of smooth you want to be? Is that the kind of well-groomed you want to be? Is that the kind of fly you want to be? Is that the kind of pimp you want to be? Is that the kind of game you want to succeed at? Oh, it's clean. To the outside eye, that has been trained to put a smile on it and suck it up and never let them see you sweat. Where the most heinous of plans for destruction of life, genocide, wars, murder, and rape were conceived with pride, arrogance, and hate against existence itself, in a diverse form other than itself, identified state of non-existence. So before you tell somebody else they need to clean up they mess and want to call them nasty, perfect example of this is 45. Clean out your own heart first. Take the straw out of your own eye first, so you can see clearly how to help your brother and sister remove theirs. As I look around my bedroom, because I wrote this in my bedroom when I just first woke up, filled with black trash bags with proof of my existence, trash bags filled with clothes and little trash bottles, empty water bottles, and so forth and so on, with proof of my existence that in this now moment have taken on a new energy and understanding. Be careful what you ask, because when you are ready to see the existence will speak up till you heart, till you hear, HEAR/HERE. To the sun came from behind clouds, literally. The sun came from behind clouds. And as you can see, I don't know if you can see or not, but um, it's stormy weather around here. It's kind of dark, and it's been like that for a couple of days. And I'm not complaining because there are people that have lost everything they had, their loved ones, their lives in storms. So I'm not speaking from, I am grateful. But what I'm saying is I woke up and I looked at my bedroom and it looked pretty much like a tornado had went through there. And for me, that's a comfort thing because the clothes being just tossed willy-nilly and everything, that's my room. Ain't nobody got to see my room but me. But it's making me realize, like I said to myself, looking at her, Valerie, you is so nasty. That is so nasty. And then part of me wants to argue, it's not nasty. It's just junky. It's just clothes all over and disarranged and and then all of these feelings start coming from listening to my mother, from listening to other people, from my ex, how he would talk about my house cleaning and so forth and so on. But I would keep it messy just so he could clean it up. And he would. And just look, like I said, looking at all of these things and realizing and having it just reverberate inside of me. Cleanliness is next to godliness. Cleanliness is next to godliness. Cleanliness is next to godliness. And then I got to thinking of all the the saints who and the elected and the elite, those spiritual beings, the witches, whatever you want to call it, the witch doctors, all of them, they lived in natural places. Okay? And some of them, part of their aesthetic was to not bathe, to not wash their clothes, to to not take down spider webs, to, you know, whatever that was. And you didn't look at them, those monks and those people, as saying dirty, nasty. Mhm. Have to really get to a point where we need to understand and understand. Just because the words say cleanliness is next to godliness, let me ask you, this. If a homeless person, dirty, matted hair, old clothes, just raggedy, just filthy to your standards. But this same homeless person goes around making sure every other homeless person got what they need. That same homeless person will get a last to somebody and ain't got nothing. Or you have someone who owns hotels and just about everything else, golf courses and everything else, and wouldn't cross the street for nobody. Who do you think spirit would be more inclined to dwell in? What kind of spirit would be more inclined to dwell in? Which person? Like I said, It's time to really look and observe the words, the thoughts, the feelings, the actions, the conditionings, and compare it to the truth. Compare it to the truth. How do you know the truth? Because unconditional love will be all around it, will be the cause of it, will be the effect of it, will be the mission of it. That is existence. Okay, beloveds, that is going to be it. And namaste. And um, I hope this has flowed well and that it's easily understood and can be that it's enough that's relatable to you, and that when you watch it, it stirs something within you, or that you can share it with someone else, or that it stirs questions up within you that you go seeking the answer for, first within yourself. And beloveds, pray. Pray for knowledge. Pray for revelations. Pray to see things. We are all sensitive. And this with the elementals and being at war with the elementals, that is very powerful. That is very powerful from many different aspects. And we have to understand that the elements are used to cause balance. And when we, like I said, with industrialization, what we have done to agriculture, just as one specific pointing, and how that has affected human beings on a global scale and the earth itself, with the pesticides, with these contaminants, and with these nuclear waste products that we're now trying to put into the water because we have no other place to store them. That should mean you don't make them. That's if it means that we have to go back to living on farms and not having everything so readily at our fingertips, then that's what it means. If it means giving up your creature comforts of cell phones and wireless this and all of this and that for existence itself to exist in a pristine state, think about it. What is truly more important? And I don't mean, well, we'll just let the elite have all the toys and everybody else will just be poor and we'll be. No. No, that's what got us where we are, beloveds. We have got to use this energy that grace is bestowing upon us to use our free will to identify who we are and how clean our hearts are. Because no matter what ethnicity, no matter what or where or when there is an accountability of your heart. Whether it is nasty, clean, pure, broken, whatever adjective you want to give to it, you have to account for it. You have to account for it. So, beloveds, fruits of the Spirit, clean your heart space. No matter what you've done, no matter who you've hurt, no matter what you did, what you said, can be brought back to balance if you will it so. And it begins with forgiving yourself. It begins with understanding whatever you did, even Trump. Trump is the result of his conditioning. 45 is the result of his conditioning. His father, his grandfather, his mother. Where do you think he gets the word nasty from? Especially nasty women. How many times do you think his mama said that about the women that his father was working with at the saloon? And why that is such a term for him in his age group and what that really means. Conditioning. Observe yourself. Don't listen to nobody else. You don't need nobody else to tell you who you are. That's just more conditioning. Observe yourself eye to eye. Eye to eye to eye to eye. Look at your chakras. Judge yourself by the amount of love. Unconditional love that you're able to receive and that you're able to give. And from that point, start cleaning your heart. Your heart got many, many, many rooms in it. Some rooms are filled with bitterness. Some rooms are filled with resentment. Some are filled with innocence and laughter and joy. Let go of what you no longer need. Clean it out. And as you clean out your heart and your mind of all that clutter and the nasty things that happened to you and the nasty things that people did to you or said to you, let it go. Make room for peace. Make room for unconditional love. And it will come. And it will fill up those rooms. And you feel it in your frequency. You feel it in your smile. When you smile now, you smile differently. Because it's not a suck it up smile. It's not a don't let them see you sweat smile. It's not a fake smile. It comes from your heart. And it glows. Just like those saints when they came off the mountains. They had a glow about them. That glow was peace. That glow was unconditional love. And they had to get it by going away from people's and getting into themselves, connecting. And that wasn't always done in a photo shoot kind of environment. Not saying that you have to go to an earthy place. Not saying that you have to go to a junky place. Go to a place where you can look within your own heart. Whatever that place needs to look like for you to be comfortable. So that it doesn't feel like a test or feel unnatural or that you're making yourself do something. But this is something you want to do because you're loving you. Okay, beloveds, that's gonna do it. I'm gonna shut up now. Namaste.